All right. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. Hey, it's going to be a pretty good stream today. We're going to have some value added as always. Maybe changing things up just a little bit, but not a lot. We're still going to do some analysis. We're going to come into the day looking at some templates and try and find the best opportunities on the day, looking for 3-day opportunities that are built up. We got some news today, some pretty big news. Inflation numbers. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're in the world. Hope you're doing well. We're going to get into this thing and see if I get my screen up there. All right, make sure. Can you all hear me okay? Everybody type 1 real quick if you can hear me. I want to make sure that my mic's working well and nothing strange is going on. All right. First things first, we're going to take a look at this. All right. Holy cow. Let me get rid of my face real quick. Let me move this down. Good. All right. Yep. So value added as much as I can within 15 minutes or less. Let's add some good thought process before we get the stream going. A really good acronym to think about. TOEM. Okay. We can look at this. Just think of it like this. If I can answer these 4 questions, or if I can do these 4 things, I will be able to be better at trading. So I need to answer a couple of questions for myself, and please stick with me because it's important, and it's going to hopefully develop a better thought process for you going into the future. I need to be able to create a thesis. I need to be capable of observing. I need to be capable of executing, and I need to know how I'm going to manage that trade. If I can come up with a thesis based off the objective information that the market is giving me, if I can sit patiently and watch and wait and know exactly what I'm waiting for, once those things take place, those things that I'm waiting for, I know how to execute. I have an objective way of entering into the market. I have different variations of entry in which I'm comfortable or capable of taking. And then once I have entered that trade, I know exactly where I'm going to put my stop. And based off the type of trade from my playbook that I am taking, I know how I'm going to manage and take profits with that trade. If you can do those 4 things, you will be objectively better. How does the market move? So I need to answer 2 more questions. How does the market move? This is the simplicity of the system. How does the market move, and how can I benefit from those movements? And the market only does 3 things. So we've already identified a really large piece of the puzzle. All right. If the market only does 3 things, and it's only capable of doing 3 things, then I've already answered a very large question. It tends to move in 3 pushes. There's the 3-day cycle. There is all these other larger things or larger pieces of the puzzle that you could possibly be looking at. But if you want to make it even more simple for yourself, go down to its most basic form. It's going to do 3 things: trading range, trend, reverse. That's it. So that is why we use the previous day's high and low, the previous week's high and low. And we use those levels because they're objective, and because when a market is breaking out of one of those levels, now I have essentially narrowed it down to 2 things. And based off those 2 things and off the signatures of the templates, I can now look for one of those 3-day opportunities, which is where, we trigger, we're in an up moving market. We've triggered the previous day's low and broke out to the upside. Is the next day going to break down and reverse? Maybe it's going to break out, pull back, and continue. But based off of this template, we know exactly what to look for on the day, and we can do these other things over here. So let's break it down to its simplest form. Is the market going to break out, pull back, and trend, break out, reverse, or stay in a trading range? That is the easiest way to look at everything within this trading system, or just trading in general. Even if you don't trade the way that I trade, maybe you do some kind of EMA thing or whatever. Every trader should understand that concept. So if you have a previous day's high and low, and we go up here and we're at the high and it breaks down and starts making lower lows and lower highs, this could turn into a breakout that has essentially failed and goes back towards the other side of the range. On the flip side of that, we could be in breakout to the upside, and then maybe the next day opens and we pull back, and then we continue to go higher or lower or wherever. Shaky, good morning. Kyle, good morning. AJ, good morning to you as well. Let's go and take a look at one more thing before I go into the analysis for today, because I just want to highlight these things. They're very simple concepts. I know maybe it can be overwhelming at times, but when it's broken down this way, it really is a lot easier. Okay, we're going to take a look at the templates here in a second. All right, I can't just delete all this like normal. Let's get rid of this. I need to put this down, and we'll pull up this here. Okay, these are the templates. They're really simple. We have a day, we break out, we pull back, we trend. We spike both sides of the range. We have a rectangle. We expand that rectangle to the upside or the downside. First red and first green day. A large pumping day. A day that tries to go higher, so maybe a breakout that's going to fail. And then essentially a reversal back down. New York session started earlier. It started at 8 a.m. Eastern time, which was 7 minutes ago. But the open is going to be in an hour and a half. So 3 days of breakouts, a market that maybe is overextended and then breaks down and goes, and we get a reversal off of that. Inside bars, a consolidation. Is it going to break out and trend, or is it going to break out and reverse? Two questions to ask. Trend trades, or essentially, you get a first red day in an up-moving market. Maybe it's going to be a trend trade in the continuation of the breakout pullback continuation. Maybe you get a first green day in a down-moving market. You're going to see some stuff like this week. Maybe we're going to see this, and we get a breakout pullback. We think it's a first green day, and then it continues to the downside. Okay, I want to highlight one last thing. I had a bit of a brain fart back over here. Hopefully y'all didn't notice, but I just highlighted myself, so it is what it is. I was going to tell you all something and just try to highlight this one last detail before I go to the analysis. I show you all everything on the 1 hour chart and the 15-minute chart. Does that mean that I am necessarily trading the 1 hour or the 15-minute chart or the 5-minute chart or anything like that? No, absolutely not. These templates are based off of the weekly and the daily chart. All right. Now, am I looking at the weekly and daily chart? Of course not. I'm not doing top-down analysis. I'm not doing crazy amounts of technical analysis or anything like that. I'm looking at a previous day's high and low and the close and determining what kind of trade I could be looking for the next day. That's it. That's as simple as it gets. There's a high and a low. We're either broken out, we're in a failed breakout, or just on the inside. That's all there is to it. But the templates themselves and the trade setups are based off of the daily and the weekly chart. That's where Stacey Burke talks about the higher time frames are driving this market, and I'm just entering in on a lower time frame. I'm looking at the 15, I'm looking at the 5 in order to find an appropriate entry and determine whether or not that entry is actually showing up on the day, so that way I can enter and manage accordingly. But the overall trades are based off of the higher time frames, the 1 hour, or the daily, the weekly. For some people, they look at the monthly. I don't personally look at the monthly as much, because then I start to feel like, man, I'm really having to do a lot of analysis, and it's a little too much for me personally. I've never really done that. Daily, weekly is fine. Just looking at the levels, the high and the low, and determining maybe it's week 1 breakouts. Maybe we've been going down, and something like this, and we've had a previous week's high and low, and then I notice, hey, this week we broke out, we closed in breakout. Well, what does that tell me? Well, maybe next week I can look for trend opportunities. I can look for a 3-day template of some kind that maybe they break the high. Okay, market's broken out and failed. Kind of sounds like maybe the 3-day cycle, right? Day 1 of the cycle. And then we get the dump back down into the low. George Taylor, they're going to force a level and reset the cycle, and then they're going to trend away. And then they're going to possibly either continue that trend on day 3 or reverse. And when we're trading off the higher time frames and higher time frame template, we could be looking at day 1, day 2, day 3 for the trend. Why do they do this? Because they can, and it works. It's a good business model. Okay, let's go to the chart. Enough of my rambles. Hopefully that has built a better mindset going into today. And if not, well, I tried. Let's move my face back up in a place where no one's going to yell at me consistently in the comments telling me they can't see. You know, is what it is. There we go. Hey, good morning, Johnny. Okay, we're looking at the NASDAQ. Now, a market that has been taken in one direction or has gone in one direction for 3 days, we look for a potential reversal, blah, blah, blah. Now, is this necessarily the optimal market to be looking for that? Maybe. It could be. But one thing that we need to think about is the market is trending down. So I would be taking or trading against the market going down. So I need to see some really good signs in order for me to want to take that reversal. So we're making lower lows and lower highs. Let's highlight that real quick. We've been making breakouts to the downside or 3 days of shorts. Oh my gosh, 3 days of shorts triggered into the market. All right, we've got at least 1. We've got 2, 3, and 4. So now we have 4 days of shorts triggered in. And whenever we have days of shorts triggered in, the thought process is they're building order flow and building money at the other side of the range. So as this market is pulling lower and lower and lower, and people are buying the close lower and lower and lower, they're being forced to sell down low. And they may be putting their stops at, holy cow, I am just completely out of it. There we go. They're putting their stops at the other end of the range. Okay, so these types of setups where you have 3 days of breakouts or 3 days of shorts in the market like this, 3 levels of drop, we might be looking for certain signatures to look for a short squeeze back towards the previous day's high. So one of the things that I like to see is the front side of a move having been broken. Has the front side of this move been broken? No. Okay, I am now associating details and things that I like to see with this trade so I can develop and build an accurate or as accurate as possible thesis going into my session. 3 days of breakouts. The other thing I like to see at the very least is a higher high. So now we have internal structure that I can look at, lower lows and lower highs. We've came up and made a higher high and then pulled back into a higher high. Okay, so we're making higher highs and higher lows. This is my end of day consolidation now coming into the new day. All right. Now, back here on Monday, we had a breakout. So now I'm going to shift gears. We were making higher highs and higher lows on the day itself or from coming out of yesterday. All right, I'm going to shift gears real quick into an observation that the market is in breakout to the downside. We are in breakout to the downside, and whenever this happens, I have got to project this level across because the market is only going to do 3 things, and this is going to help me develop my thesis, like I said, for the day. So we're in a market that is in breakout to the downside. We have triggered the previous day's low yesterday. So maybe this is where the pump has began for the pullback. So what would 2 really good theses be coming into today's session? Number 1, I like to always develop both sides of the trade. I like to look at, well, what would my long look like and what would my short look like? Because at the very least, that is going to keep me from doing or getting caught in one or the other. So what would my long trade look like? I would need to have seen a higher high and then a 3 levels of drop sort of scenario, and then the New York session opens up and goes vertical back up towards the upside. That would be my ideal setup that I would want to see. So maybe that has already occurred back here in the London session, or coming to or towards the end of the London session. Back over here, all right? They've dumped it back down. We get a peak formation at the low of the day. The engulfment back up, 340 coming into the end of London. You know, maybe that was the trade in London. So one of the other things that I always like to do is, you know, is the trade having already happened? Has something already occurred that has set that trade in motion? Because there's still trend opportunities throughout the day that I could, you know, possibly participate in. For example, you know, now we're on the inside of a high and a low, and that's lower probability, but maybe it's still trending back up towards previous day's high. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Am I willing to actually take that? Is that a best trade opportunity? For me, probably not. This was the best trade opportunity if I was going to take that long opportunity down over here. Low of day, low of session. However, now I can think about what would my short look like, all right? We're in a down-moving market overall. The overall market is breaking out to the downside. We've triggered previous day's low. The breakout has failed day one, day two. And now we have traded back up to and towards the previous day's high. So what would that really look like? Well, we've got a consolidation. They broke out once. They broke out twice. Maybe we get 3 pushes to the high. And then we start making lower lows and lower highs today to take the trend trade back down to previous day's low, or where the pump began. If that were to show up in the session. If not, you know, yeehaw. All right, hopefully that thought process, I tried to go slow, is making sense. Hopefully that is clear, concise, and usable information for all of you. And just a reminder, because I didn't say it at the beginning of the stream, this is not financial advice. Nothing I said at the beginning of the stream and nothing I say going forward or ever is financial advice. The information on this channel is provided for education, informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. Please read this. It's also in the description of every one of my videos. Good deal. Awesome way to explain. Good stuff, Paul. I appreciate that. Hopefully the other 47 people in here also feel that way. Are we all good? We all clear on this? I'm going to move on. Let's go to US 30. Okay, US 30 is a very similar template in the sense that we still have 3 days of breakouts in the market. We have 3 days of shorts triggered in, coming off of Friday, really coming off of, you know, way back over here. But at the very least, I don't need to go all the way back there and keep counting, because it doesn't matter. All right, we have at least 3. We've got 1, 2, 3 days of shorts triggered in. We had a lower low and a higher high yesterday. Internal. So again, similar to the NASDAQ, you know, looking at the end of day consolidation, the higher high. Okay, now we're just kind of trading on the inside. I have to say, I think that maybe the US 30 is a little bit more clean. We also closed in breakout on the US 30. So I'm going to do myself a favor. I'm going to project this level across as my breakout level, because we did close in breakout yesterday. And I'm going to take this bad boy, I'm going to put it up here. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the 5-minute chart. I'm going to make an observation. We're making higher highs and higher lows on the day. This is the exact same thesis as the NASDAQ, so I'm going to treat it exactly the same. You know, if this continues to go higher, great. Maybe it's going to set me up for later in the week. You know, maybe this turns into a first green day or a breakout day one to the upside, and I can use that information going forward throughout the week. Would I take this long? That's what I'm kind of saying, is probably not. If it does go long today, then I can use that information. Option 2, we've got 3 levels of rise coming off of previous day's low, and we've got a 3-push stair step back to the high. If it starts to break down in my session or coming into 9:30 or something like that, Beautiful. This is a fairly clean chart. I really like what I'm seeing on US 30. Nasdaq's not bad by any means. But for whatever reason, US 30's excuse me, looking a little bit better, and it also closed in breakout, so I think that maybe that will be a better option, or possibly could be a better option. S&P, if you're wondering, it's the same thing. All right, same template. Monday, breakout day. 3 days of shorts triggered in, and then going back up, peak formation low, peak formation high. At the end of the day, something like this. Now we're just trading on the inside of that. All right, 62 people in here right now. If you all could just take a break, hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. Say hello. I always enjoy conversing with you all. ES is the same. Yep, S&P. Good deal. If you all ever have questions as I'm going through this, please stop me. I'm more than happy to answer them. Morning. All right, let's take a glance at the Russell. It's probably going to be the same as everything else, but you know, it's worth taking a look. In fact, let's go back through the hourlies real quick and just take a look. Okay, so pretty much the same site picture with everything. All right, we're on the front side. Front side dump. Yep, front side dump. It's looking good. Morning to all you. Love it. All right. For YM, you say close in breakout. You're talking about breaking up on the shorter time frame at the end of the day. Yes, Kyle, that's what I was talking about. Break-in structure. It's basically just internal structure, right? It helps me identify short squeezes and long squeezes and things like that, but it's not... It could be an early indication of a reversal. Do I put an insane amount of weight behind it? No, the overall market is in breakout to the downside, so I have to respect that. But also, if the current market is making higher highs and higher lows, I need to think about that as well if I'm looking to take a short, because, you know, I don't want to short something that's making higher highs and higher lows. That doesn't make sense. So look at US 30, and, you know, at the end of the day yesterday on the 15, we're making lower lows and lower highs, and then they make the higher high, which could set the market out of whack, you know, send us into an extended period of consolidation. We could go back to retest the high. The high might fail. You know, all those types of scenarios. I want to be aware and be thinking about those. But, yeah, it just helps me to identify the squeeze if it shows up. All right, Russell. Again, same thing. We've came down. We closed in breakout on Monday. And then yesterday we got maybe even a bit of a first green day, which I think is the only index to have provided that. Okay, so maybe a first green day. At the very least, we're in breakout to the downside. We get a first green day. More of just a narrow range bar, but they did try to trade lower and then close, but they kind of just closed, you know, barely above. So probably a doji bar on the daily, if I were to look at it. We have not triggered previous day's high in quite some time. And this one is a bit more consolidated. We had a higher high. It pulled back. End of day consolidation. This one's interesting. If I was going to watch an index, it would probably be US 30 or this one, because it's more tightly coiled, tightly consolidated, bit more boxy. All right, let's go to oil. I still think US 30 is my best option, but we'll see when we get to the back, or to the end of this. All right, oil. Man, this jumps out at me. You know, sometimes you pull up a chart and you can immediately see something has happened. Something's out of whack. Something that looks different compared to everything else. This template is different. It feels different, and I need to go and assess. And I'm going to try and talk you all through it, so that way my thought process hopefully makes sense. We're in a down-moving market. Market go down, all right? We've been breaking out to the downside, outside of previous week's levels, outside of previous days' levels, blah, blah, blah. Okay, market go down. Wednesday, closed in breakout from last week. Okay, Friday broke out and spiked through the high. So it could be a higher high. All right. It could be the break in structure on a daily level to go back up. So this could be where my dump begins. All right. Now, this was day 1, day 2, day 3 of the cycle. Then we get a reset day 1, day 2 of the cycle, and day 3 of the cycle. Now we have peak formation high, peak formation low. Day 1, today's day 2. Are we getting a dump for a pump sort of action? Okay, let's assess, let's think. We have a breakout that has now failed. Essentially, remember in some of my previous videos for the most recent ones that I've done, I was talking about the fact that whenever you have a high, like a breakout like this, in some way, shape, or form, they tend to go back to retest the low. They've kind of done that here. All right, so that's, again, how the market moves, how the cycles reset, things like that. Now, we use failed breakouts and signal days to help us identify a 3-day template. We had the peak formation high from Friday that is dumped down and tried to go lower, and it couldn't. We have the failed breakout here. What kind of day was this? All of you should be jumping out of your chair, shouting, screaming, throwing things at the screen. Not literally. Please don't put in the comments that I made you break your computer. This was a first green day. All right. They broke down. They tried to go lower at the low of the current week. They could not get any lower, and then they closed somewhat near their highs in the afternoon. All right. Failed breakout, day 1, 3-day cycle, first green day. Something else about this is that we already had the break to the high. So they broke to the high. They tried to go lower. The breakout has now potentially failed. Train your eyes to move these levels horizontally. All right. They've attempted to go lower. They can't go any lower. The breakout fails. They pop back up, go sideways, and now we have a bit of a rectangle. This pair, top of the list. Immediately goes to the top of the list. Now, how do I like to see first green days present? Now, go back to my little silly paint example, okay? Toem. I've built a thesis. It's first green day. I like to see things low of day, low of session. So where was my low of day, low of session? Down here in London. All right, they started up here. They've dropped it down. Push 1, push 2, push 3 into the low. Peak formation low, new hour, vertical move. Bit of a squeeze. Okay, first pullback, consolidation to continue in the gap time. And now we've gone back to the high. So now I'm in the observation phase. My thesis is I should be getting a low of day, low of session opportunity, but we're back at the high of the day and the high of the week, essentially. I think, right? Tuesday. No, Monday's up here. So we're not back up to the high of week just yet. But we're at levels. So I need to be paying attention to previous day's high. This is the most important level. Market is only going to do 3 things: breakout, trend, reverse, or stay in a trading range. Is this going to turn into a range expansion of the previous day's high to go up? Or is this first green day essentially going to fail at the previous day's high in a down moving market, and we're going to go back to the low? Okay, only 2 theses that I can build. We have a first green day. I know what I should be looking for based off that first green day, low of session. I'm going to watch and observe my 5-minute chart in the peak formations and the consolidations to continue to watch, observe, and then if it presents, I'll go into execution. Santos, what direction does Paul Tudor Jones mean when he signed? Hey, Santos, I think you asked me that possibly on Discord, and I replied to you. All right, make sure you check out my reply. All right. I don't know if you were here in the beginning of the stream, but I talked about breakouts. All right, the days closing in breakouts, expanding ranges, and then also the opening range for the week and things like that. Monday. Tuesday typically expands the range of Monday. All that stuff. All right, let's go and take a look at We'll go to natural gas. Okay, 8:30. Hey, 8:30. So that news just came out. Let's take a look. Nice. All right. The news may have just ruined it. I don't know. We blasted through previous day's high. Did US 30 do the same? We have not got to the previous day's high in US 30. NASDAQ triggered. Russell triggered. I'm still going to wait for 9:30. But this is... It's definitely interesting. See how this bar closes. Natural gas. All right, natural gas. We'll do pretty quickly. Okay, we came up. We triggered previous day's low on Friday. We've been coming back down. Yesterday closed in breakout to the downside. So my question to myself is always, especially with an opening range breakout. All right, we closed in breakout on Tuesday. Think about the templates. Now we're still on the inside of the high and the low as far as the... Actually, the previous week's high and low is probably, yeah, over here. So we had a previous week's high, broke out of that. Maybe it's failed. This is where the pump has began from Friday because we triggered the previous day's low. We closed in breakout. So this is, I like to use this little phrase or whatever. Asia makes a lower low. London pulls back. New York is the trade. That's a good 3-session opening range breakout sort of template. So right now, we had lower lows and lower highs. We've got a bit of a peak formation high, peak formation low. But we're in breakout to the downside. All right, so I would need to see essentially a larger pullback than this, and then continuation patterns to the downside. That'd be just a trend trade, but I think I have much better options. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. Let's go to gold. Oh, my goodness. Okay. That's a pretty big consolidation. Okay, breakout on Monday, breakout failed. Day one of the cycle. We have not triggered previous week's high or low, I don't think. So we're still on the inside. Was last week on the inside as well? Ooh. Okay, last week was an inside week. Okay, this is an inside bar on the weekly chart. Science project. What are you talking about? This is Are you talking about gold, Mantis? Mantis being, or gold being a science project? Yeah, if that's what you mean, I'm feeling the same way. This is a bit too much on the inside for me. Too much on the inside to actually form a decent thesis. I'm not even going to try, I don't think. I think that we're going to find something more on the outside. Okay, so silver, on the other hand, has triggered previous week's levels. So a lot more money is involved in silver. We had a breakout of previous day's low on Monday that failed on Tuesday. Day one, day two. Breakout day one. Okay, we're going to project this level across. Previous day's high. We've broken out. Now we're at the high of the week. Same thing applies. All right, again, this is the ideal opportunity for this was going to be down here. I wonder if the 5-minute chart on the day. Oh my goodness. That hurts. That hurts the soul. Did anybody trade this in London? This is, you're not going to find a better squeeze pattern than this. Okay, this is, they triggered the previous day's high at the very beginning of the day. That tells me to start looking for the short squeeze. It dumps back down, lower lows and lower highs, goes into consolidation, spikes up and makes a higher high at the very beginning of London. So now it turns into Basically, it could be a multi-hour setup. There's your higher high. The dump back down into the low. If this stupid thing would go away, there we go. All right. Acceleration and a pause, acceleration and a pause, and then the peak formation engulfment and the pin hammer, and then the continuation. You're not going to ever see a better squeeze pattern than this. Okay, higher high, 3 pushes to the low, engulfments. All right, that kind of leads me to wonder what to look for here. So I think that I'm probably going to stick with the indexes. All right, indexes are clear. Exactly what to look for. Gold, not so much. Oil is looking pretty good. Big fan. US 30, not bad. The news might have just kind of boogered things. It's fine. We'll wait until 9:30. All right. Man, I feel like I've done this very quickly. 37 minutes. Does anybody have any other pairs they want to look at? If not, we'll just cancel here and we'll call it a good stream. Could I check GJ? Sure. Okay, this actually looks very similar to silver for whatever reason. Breakout fails. Breakout back up to the upside. Breakout day 1. Project that level across. Turns it into a rectangle. They triggered the previous day's high. Asia makes a higher high. London pulls back, ends the trade. Coming into the London session 45 minutes into the hour. So this higher high right here is the dump. Then you have the consolidation, the engulfment, breakout for the pump. And now we've pumped. We're outside of the previous day's range, making higher highs and higher lows. What would I want to see? If I was going to trade this pair, and that is a big if, I would just want to see it break down. It would be a session trade based off of the day's range, the day's pattern, and that's it. Yeah, not bad. What's my favorite for today? I really liked the index or US 30 in oil up until the news, but we'll see. 9:30 comes around, it still looks pretty good, and then I'll maintain that. Oil or gold, excuse me, is a big no for me. I have no idea. We're very on the inside. Mantis said science project. I think that's pretty accurate. Oil with that first green day looks really good. I just wish that I would have caught it on the dump instead of it's already moving higher. So my thesis might need to adjust to a different version or variation of the theme. Let's see. ES, Paul, it's the same as all the other indexes. I don't know if that's why you were saying that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, great stream. Appreciate all the interaction, and it just makes things a lot more interesting and fun. And hopefully these have been useful for you. The thesis building and the thought process additive at the beginning of the stream. Hopefully everything's been beneficial to you. And I do these streams every Wednesday and every Friday. This Friday, unfortunately, I don't think this Friday is going to be a session where I can do this live stream. I'll be probably doing some traveling on Friday, so there will be a video on Monday though, and I think it'll be extremely beneficial. It's not one of my normal videos. However, it is all going to be about thesis building. So everything I just showed you, the thesis building, the observation, execution, and management. All right, those 4 things. If you can do those 4 things, you are going to be way better off. So that's what the entire video will be about. And hopefully it's, again, as beneficial as this has been. You'll have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week. I'll see you over on Discord. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.